lot about businesses or people telling stories on behalf of business, but we have created this platform where businesses authentically being real, just telling their own stories, and to learn from, and also to recognize those business owners, entrepreneurs that are pushing hard, blood, sweat, and tears all these years, and to show, showcase their story. My name is Hannes Stein. I'm part of the ETTP team, and it's a privilege for me today to have Letty Nkubeni. She is the director and founder of a company called Integrico, and it's lovely to have her in my lounge, in my office, and to have Letty and her a beautiful home. And good afternoon, Letty. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Hannes. Thank you for having me. I'm good, and I hope everyone is good as well. Thank you.
Letty, we've got a bit of another angle that I want to start off. We jokingly, before the session, I was asking her the question, why is she looking so young? Because I want you to know, Letty is a mother. She's a wife, but she's got children that is out of school already, working. And I want to just throw in this question before we get into the business side of things, because before we get in the story, Letty, how important is it to be well conditioned, or to be, well groomed, well conditioned, to be, at a good place? You know what I mean? Because you look good, when I speak to you, there's excitement, fresh, you are fresh. How's it possible to, in this time, during COVID, during the challenging times, that you are still so fresh?
Thank you, Hannes, for that compliment. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Letty Nkubeni. I am the founder and the CEO of Integrico Holdings. To answer your question, Hannes, it is by the grace of God, if I may be honest with you, coupled by a bit of exercises and eating breakfast every morning. As you said, I am a mother, I am a wife, I've got 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. My son is 25 years old. Yes, my daughter is turning 21 this year. And I've got my 2 little boys at home that are keeping me on my toes. That's why I keep looking so young. But above all is the grace of God. Thank you.
Look, I commend you on that, because just your whole demeanor, the way you present yourself, it makes sense to me that you're looking after yourself. You're a woman of faith. So, there's always a bigger picture. So well done on that. So Letty, let's get into the story. Now, we don't have enough time to really to go into the story, because it's a long story. It's a story of blood, sweat, and tears. It's a story of ups and downs. It's a story of challenges. So where did it all start for you as an individual? Where did this entrepreneurial thing happen that led into Integrico? But where did it start?
Thank you, Hannes. The Interpret Foundation started a long time ago, I think around the age of 12. And I must say that I developed entrepreneurial skills from a very young age, like I said, at the age of 12, and that was due to poverty. I've realized that and learned that poverty can break you or make you. So in my case, I decided from that early age that poverty is not going to break me. I was not going to be defined by my circumstances. So from that age of 12, my mother was a domestic worker for a particular family in our village. By the way, I come from Lipompo in Kuri village. So my mother was a domestic worker there. We grew up in extreme poverty, but I was not going to allow poverty to bring me down. So at that age, I started working as a domestic worker during weekends, because during the week, obviously, I was going to school. And after month end, which was 4 weekends of, will pay me 10 rand. So that 10 rand was used to buy a packet of chicken feed and spices. Then I'll cook that chicken feed. After school, I'll go family by family to sell those chicken feed. So you can see that the entrepreneurial skills was developed very, very early in my life, you know. And I must also say that I'm coming from an entrepreneurial family, because my mother stopped being a domestic worker at some stage. She started making, you know, clay pots. And on making those clay pots, when we come back from school, we'll sit down and paint and making them beautiful. And she will go and sell, and she used that income to support us. My grandmother as well was selling snafe, you know, snafe, that one in yellow small bottles, plastic containers. Yeah, the one that people sniff. Yeah, that one. So my grandmother will plant those, and we will grind it for her, and she will sell it. So you can see that entrepreneurial skills were there in my family as well. But like I said, poverty made me get into business from an early age. Fast forward from there, I passed my matric. I was 15 years old. And as you may have it, there was no money for me for going to college and so forth. Then I went to my primary school principal and approached him to give me a job as an unqualified teacher. He gave me a job. I worked. I taught sub A's. Mind you, I was a child. I was 16. And on teaching those children, it made me realize that I don't think I'm good with small babies, you know. So when I was working, I applied for a teaching diploma, and I was admitted at a college. So because I taught small children that I thought I was not coping with them, I decided there and there that I'm not going to teach small children again. I'm going to a college where I can be able to teach high school. You know, it's actually interesting for me, because I felt that at that age of 16, surely they should not have given me babies. Maybe they should have given me sub-Bs, but it was part of the journey. So I completed my education and I started working. When I started working as a qualified teacher, I was 20 years old, you know. And while I was working, the entrepreneurial bug did not leave me, you know. I was staying in a township and I was teaching in a village. I will take a bus at 5 o'clock so that I arrive at work early. But at 3 o'clock, I'll wake up and make magwinya. I'm sure everybody knows what magwinya is by now. So before school start, I will sell that, you know. And apart from that, I was a member of the community at home, you know. So I'll be part of the societies, I mean, those burial societies, you know. Then I'll stock salad bowls, containers, and sell to them. I had a vegetable garden where I planted vegetables, buy from me and go and sell, you know. So the entrepreneurial journey started way long from then. And I think the foundation was laid from there, and it is still in me today. And hence I am running Integrico Holdings today. Thank you.
Letty, I've got a question, and I know we're going to get into further into Integrico and that entrepreneurial journey. But I've got a question from Patrick Salowa asking, what qualities should one possess to be a successful entrepreneur? Now, so in your opinion and in your life, and I know that you've touched on it, you know, you've been born almost into it and you've been exposed to entrepreneurship, but what do you think, just maybe one or two in your life that you need to, that characteristics that needs to, you know, that needs to manifest for that entrepreneurship presence and impact to happen?
I think, Hannes, you need resilience. Without it, you will not survive in the entrepreneurial world. It's a tough world out there, but resilience, determination, perseverance, those are strong qualities that one must have. You know, there are situations that can, you know, you can come across that you feel like, oh, I just need to give up, but you can't. Because if you don't have resilience, then it will be easy for you to simply just give up and go back to work. I'll say that because when I left teaching, I told myself that I'm going to make it out there. And no matter how difficult it becomes, I'm not going back to teaching. However, I was telling people who were saying, why would you leave a job? Because every month you get a salary and go to a territory or unknown territory. And I said to myself, I'm going to make it there. But I was telling these people, that's fine, don't worry. If it does not work, I'm still a qualified teacher. I can still go back to the system. But I knew in my heart that I'm not going to go back. So resilience, determination, that spirit that says, I will not give up. You know, I had to go one day to a dictionary. I wanted to see what is exactly the meaning of resilience. And the dictionary that, or the site where I went to get the exact definition of it, it tells me that it is the ability to bounce back from a difficult circumstances. So you must have resilience to succeed. Thank you.
Letty, there's another question that I just want to quickly, I want you just to quickly look at. It's again a question from Roland. Asking what advice would you give to young women? So this is now young women that will be listening to you. And before we go on, you can follow us on ETTP, on all the ettp.org.za, on all our platforms, because this message is going out to South Africa, to whoever listens. And we're going to push this because it's important even for young women that are listening to you, Letty. You've been 9 years in business and you're saying it's been tough, but how are they going to take that step? Is it going to be it's a step of there might be fear to make that step. What advice would you give to especially young women that's listening to you?
Thank you once again. I must say that it is true that it's not easy to say, I want to go into business. There are some fears that you have to conquer. But for young people, before you say, I want to go into business, you need to research and find out exactly what do you want to do. Is there a market for what you want to do? Because you cannot just say, I'm going to open a restaurant, for example. You need to do research to find out if there's a need for your product, and then how are you going to fund it, and so forth and so forth. So there's a lot of research that needs to be put into an idea. Yes, young people have got so many ideas, but my advice to young people is that you need to go out there and do research, start your business, find out if there's a market for that business, and so forth. If you find out that there's a market for that product that you have, or that idea that you have, then go for it. But in going for it, there's still more to it. How are you going to fund that project? Because you must also consider funding as well. But also there are a lot of government institutions that can fund new ideas, new businesses, and so forth. And another thing that I think they need to do is also to find a mentor. It is important. Mentorship is very important. You will not make it without a mentor. I myself has been mentored. I joined Property Point incubation programs. I learned a lot of entrepreneurial skills out there. You know, I've also learned the importance of networking as well. So you cannot operate in isolation if you want to succeed in business. You need to have people, you need to have mentors that will teach you the ropes of doing business as well. So that to me is extremely important to young people, but also don't just use emotions that I'm going into business. That you want to do, have thought about it thoroughly, that this is what I'm going to do. And like I said, there are challenges. You need to be resilient. You need to be dedicated. You need to have faith in God. You need to have the fear of God, because coupled with the fear of God and faith in God, then you will be able to succeed. Because there are times when, yes, you feel like I can give up. But in my case, I tell myself that I'm an overcomer and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that has worked for me always, you know. So I think that's the advice that I can give to young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Letty. Thank you for that advice, because it's coming really from the horse's mouth, with all due respect, you know, because you've been through it, you know what it is, you know, going through this tough journey of entrepreneurship. It's not easy, but that's why you need to connect It's very important. Young entrepreneurs that wants to make that decision, step out into entrepreneurship, connect to somebody that has gone or has journeyed entrepreneurship. Speak to advisors before you make that step, or when you want to make that step, because you need information, you need that covering, you need advice, you need direction when you step into this journey. It is not easy, but at the end is fulfilling, because that's really Letty, what you're saying. You are driven by not just there's an internal drive that you have. It's not by externally. So thank you for that, Letty. Just tell us about Integrico, just in 2 minutes. What is Integrico all about?
Integrico is a facilities management company, and when it started as just a maintenance company. We were just doing minor maintenance, minor renovations here and there, but the vision has always been to become an FM company. And I must emphasize that Integrico, because some people might be like, Integrico, what does that mean? Integrico comes from the word integrity, which means that we run our businesses with integrity, And I need to explain this. People think that when you tender, you cannot get a tender if you don't know anybody. But I want to say that that's not, maybe it is true, but with Integrico, we don't operate like that. I know that you can tender and get a tender purely because of your competitiveness and your way of doing business without getting somebody to assist you in the system, because people have asked me so many times, or they've told me so many times, no, but we can't tender because we have heard that if you don't know anybody inside, you can't get the tender. That has not been the case with us. We have the tenders that we have got them by the grace of God with knowing anybody, and there's no reason, we don't have any reason to give anybody an envelope out there because you gave us the project. No. And I thank God for that grace, because our business has always been run with integrity. And I also need to mention this, that our name previously was Nwankomeni Trading. I'll tell you why I'm mentioning this. And when I was on Property Point Incubation Program, we were taught about the names of our business, that the names of our business must be able to speak and people must be able to pronounce them easily. I realized that it was difficult for people to pronounce Nwankomeni. I'm sure even Johannes can't pronounce that. It was so difficult. Then we had to change the name from Nwankomeni to Integrico. And at the same time, it was just Nwankomeni Trading. And if you look at it, what is Nwankomeni Trading? It doesn't tell you what it does. It's just Nwankomeni Trading CC. So the name of the business that people select must be able to tell a story of you. So now, if we say we are Integrico Facilities Management, people automatically understand what we are offering. So in part, Integrico is an FM company. It is Integrico Holdings. Under Integrico, we've got Mdabazi. Mdabazi Trading is in hospitality. It's placed in a hospitality space. We provide canteens, corporate canteens. And I must say that we have been very successful in that, because we found ourselves having canteens in corporate buildings, the likes of MTN, NESA, Mintech, IEC, Mine Health, and by the grace of God, we have grown tremendously from the day we started the business. But this was not an overnight success. It was a long journey. As you mentioned, that we have been in business for the past 9 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Letty. I've got a question that maybe you and I can just answer quickly from Bonga and Lovu. He says, I'm Bonga, and I want to ask if there's an ultimate step you can take to make it happen, or is it small steps that lead to a big breakthrough? Is it one ultimate step that can make it happen for you, or is it small steps that leads into a breakthrough? Letty, what's your view on that?
Thank you, Hannes. It is small steps, actually, because you can't become successful overnight. You start small and you build onto that and you expand and you grow. But that also takes hard work, because success will not come when you are sitting at home and not challenging yourself. Success will not come if you are not going out there to network with other people. And you need also to develop yourself. You know, you need to develop yourself. You need to study further. You need to master what you are doing. When we started in the business, I used to approach companies, because in our company, we don't rely on tenders. Like, okay, we'll just wait for a tender to come and then we'll apply for a tender. No, we go to corporate buildings, we go to companies, we knock on doors and say, here we are, this is what we provide. Sometimes you go in, they don't want to see you, you go again, you know, you go again until they see you. I've done that. There is a company that I went to 10 times, and on the 10th time, that's when they listened to me. You understand? So it's building steps. You cannot just start today and suddenly you've got this huge contract, you know, and you become big. So it is smaller steps at a time that will propel you to the growth that you want.
Letty, there's another question, and there's a lot of questions that's coming in. And just a quick answer from you. It says, did you experience any failures from Kanimambo, like, and what did you learn from them? Maybe two. Any failures, and how did you learn from them?
Definitely, I have experienced failure, you know, but failure is a stepping stone to success. I need everybody to underline that failure does not mean that you remain down on the ground. You dust yourself up. Resilience, again, dust yourself, rise up. Yes, when I left teaching, I did not go into facilities management. I went actually into a franchise that failed, guys. It failed. it failed, but I have to go back to the drawing board after it failed and be like, okay, what is it that I did wrong? What led to the failure of this venture? You know, I went into the franchise. By then, I was fresh from teaching, you know, and I was teaching accounting, business economics, and economics. And I thought, by teaching those subjects, you know, theory, I thought, I know it all. Then I can go out there and make it work. How wrong I was, you know? So I bought into a franchise, and I realized that there are certain things that I should have done that I did not do. For example, I should have done due diligence. By then, I did not even know that there's a term called due diligence, you know? But I went into it because I was told, no, this is a very beautiful franchise, it's doing well. So I took the word from those who were selling this franchise to me, you know? But then, yes, it was a failure, but in my eyes, it wasn't a failure, because from there, I learned resilience, you know? And I went back home. That franchise ended up being sold, you know? It ended up being sold. I ended up selling it because it was not working. So I went back home and be like, okay, what now? Then I said, I'm not going back to teaching. Remember, I'm qualified. I'm not going back to teaching. I'm gonna make it work in this business thing, you know? And yes, I made it work. The spirit is never give up.
Okay, now interesting.
Where there's a will, there is a way.
Yeah. So Letty, just the following question from Charlie Ngobeni. And this is an interesting question, and I know we haven't got long. I've got another 2 questions, and the time is running out. He says, Charlie Ngubeni is saying, listen, is it faith in God or is it faith in yourself?
It's both. Faith in God, but also faith in yourself. Because you don't have confidence in yourself, you will not make it. So it's both. Faith in yourself, you have to trust yourself, and you must also have faith in God.
Thank you. Thank you. I see there's a lot of questions still coming. However, I just want to ask you a very specific question from my side. You're a wife and you're a mother. How are you juggling this, I don't want to call it an act, but how do you balance your business life? You're all over South Africa. And I've heard that you don't want anybody to cook your husband food in dinner. It's your privilege to do that. How on earth are you coping with this? You're a businesswoman running all over the place. How are you doing it? And then how important is your family to you as a businesswoman?
Thank you, Hannes. To me, family comes first, because if I don't have a family, I think there will be no business, you know. Yes, you had it right. I cook for my husband. I'm a wife, you know, and that privilege of being a wife, I take it very seriously. And I feel that it is it is my role as a wife to take care of my husband. You understand what I mean? Like now we are in lockdown. My working day actually starts at 10 o'clock, but I wake up at 5 o'clock, you know? And when I wake up at 5 o'clock, first thing first, I pray. After that, treadmill. After treadmill, I make breakfast for my children and my husband and put it in a warmer. And then after that, 10 o'clock, I am at work. So no, my husband, when he wakes up, he won't struggle to say, where's the food? He won't call my helpers to say, make me food, because it is not their role. He is my husband, not theirs, you know? So when I finish working as well, in the evening, I prepare dinner myself and serve him myself. I will never allow anybody to serve my husband food. He is my husband, and I cannot share it with anyone, even the responsibilities, you know. But at the same time, I'm able to make this, to get this work because I've got support of my helpers, of course. They will help me clean the house and everything, and they will help me to ensure that the children have bath and so forth. And at the same time, I've got my teams, you know. I'm supported by great teams, Integrico teams, and Mdabazi team. You are awesome. You know, without them, I could not make it. And I've learned that, you know what, if you've got good teams, you've got happy staff, they support you. And when they support you, they make it possible for you to do other things, you know. So my teams are doing very well in the regions. There are managers there, there are area supervisors there, but they are supporting me. And that makes it possible for me to balance family and work. Thank you so much. I hope I have answered that question properly.
Letty, indeed, you have. And I want to commend you that, you know, you've got a life in order. There's certain principles, there's certain processes that you are following. And you are, you know, one can see and pick up that you're a mature woman. And that's why in many ways you are successful, because you've gone through a journey. So much respect how you're treating your family. You understand your place in your family. You love your family, and so well done. And you've got a remarkable ability to achieve, a remarkable ability to understand what you're doing. You understand yourself, you understand business, and you understand the bigger picture. It's not just about the business. So well done in that. My last question will be, Letty, and it's also coming from a question from Masego Kakoma, asking, what has been your most challenging aspect of running the business during the pandemic, during this lockdown period? And what do you think you could could be the remedy of overcoming this in coming months? What have you done? So what was your challenge? And according to you, what can one do as a business owner in the months to come? Understanding it's a very volatile or very uncertain landscape that we find ourselves in. What has you done, Integrico done to strategize for this? So what has happened, your challenge, and the months to come?
Thank you, Hannes, and thank you, Masego, for the question. You know what, COVID-19 has affected almost everyone globally, and we found ourselves having to adapt to that. But in our case, what we did, it was that COVID-19 just fast-tracked us into implementing smart solutions in running our businesses. Yes, it has affected us negatively in terms of our canteens in corporate buildings, because those canteens closed down. But obviously now we are working on ways and means as to how are we going to help those people, the employees who are at work, to get food, to such an extent that we have decided that we're gonna get the people, when the canteens are open, to place orders. They email orders, we deliver to them so that they don't come to the canteens, because obviously we need to have less people in our canteens. But as well, we have now implemented meetings. We have Microsoft Teams meeting in order to meet and discuss the challenges, or to report on what is going through in the regions or around and everything like that. So yes, we have been found in a situation that we have to move with the times. It's unfortunate that, or maybe it's not unfortunate, because from what I see now, we will never go back to the old ways of doing things because of COVID-19, you know. So we have to adopt new ways of doing things technologically, even in terms of FM, you know. We have partnered with Lumacom and Johnson Controls, and I cannot stress enough the importance of partnerships, because there are certain things that we cannot do because we don't have capacity, but there is a company that has capacity that you can partner with to be able to do the work. So now we have partnered with Lumacom and Johnson Control in order to implement what I call disruptors in FM. And the key areas there is to implement a maintenance management system and building management system, which will facilitate remote controlling and monitoring of equipment, tracking of equipment lifespan and performance, and control maintenance activities, virtual technical support, real-time monitoring, resource planning, and because I feel that from now on, that time when we will have to do this manually and have human resources in buildings to be able to do this, it's gone. Yes, it's unfortunate that it might affect employment. It might result in job losses in certain instances, but yes, we have to move with the times. So going forward, this is what we are going to implement. We have implemented in certain corporate buildings. We have assisted even with space planning and so forth. So going forward in the next 3 months, this is what we are going to do. And this is how we are working. So unfortunately now, I believe that, but I think it's fortunate, I just use the word unfortunately. I think companies now, or SMMEs or companies, we have to find innovative ways of doing things because of COVID-19. And I cannot stress enough the reinforcement of health and safety, because our people's health is more important than anything. Thank you.
Letty, thank you so much. I thank you for your time. I recognize you as a mature businesswoman, and there's still a lot to achieve. There's still great giants to overcome, and you are really on that journey of a successful, sustainable business, but also showing, even as a woman in business, that with that resilience, with that inner drive, and what you also say, you know, by the grace of God, you know, that you can take your business to a next level, and also to influence, you know, other companies, to you know, to support other companies. It's a bigger picture and giving back. And thank you for your mentorship role as well. I know there's a lot of questions coming through, and people are saying they're inspired. So thank you. You know, it's coming from within. We do recognize that ability. May your business go from strength to strength. May your family will go from strength to strength. And thank you for this most precious time with Mrs. Letty Nkubeni in this afternoon on the ETTP platform. Thank you so much. All of the best. Thank you so much, all the participants. You can follow us on our ettp.org.za on all platforms, and let's do it. We're seeing the glass not half empty, but we see the glass half full. There's a big light in a dark tunnel. Thank you, Letty, for that inspiration. Thank you. Go well.